wanna do is zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Just shake your feet. All I wanna do is zoom, 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 and a boom, boom.
I'm continuing my wintertime cleanup and reorganization of all my tackle, and I continue to have all sorts of awesome and forgotten finds. In my last video, I went through some products from Gambler Lures in Florida that I had forgotten about. And now I'm going to move one state up the coast to Georgia, to Bogart, Georgia in particular. And I'm going to show you some of my findings from Zoom that I had forgotten that I owned. If you look up on that pegboard behind me, you can see there's plenty of Zoom products. Lizards, brush hogs, old monsters. The centipede is one of my go-tos and has been for years. But they have a big catalog, and they've had some things come in and out of it over the years, and some things that I used to rely very heavily on that I don't rely on as much anymore, and some other things just kind of mystified me as I found them. And as I mentioned previously, I love the centipede. I throw it on a Carolina rig a lot. I throw it on a slider head. You can throw it on a Neko rig. But you may forget that Zoom had other baits besides the regular centipede. They had this one, the dead ringer, which was essentially a ringed centipede. One advantage of that, obviously, is that when one side wears out, you can rig it on the other end because they're exactly the same. I never caught much on it, though, to be quite honest. I caught more on the traditional centipede. I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you've caught a lot of fish on this. I have a bunch of them. Another lure that I had forgotten about was called the forktail. And this one is a regular centipede, but it has, like the name would describe, a little forked tail on the back of it. Little something extra action. Obviously, at least in this position, you can't rig it on both ends, but you can cut that forked tail off and you can rig it on either ends. It's a centipede. I don't know if it makes a difference. I don't know if it falls differently, better or worse than the regular one. But if you think your fish have seen too many Zoom centipedes, this might be something worth trying. And of course, over the years, in places like Aberdeen Tackle and Fishing Pro Tech and Dance's Sporting Goods here in Virginia, I found all sorts of special run and oddball colors. Here's a color. I have no idea where I bought this. It's crystal clear, and it truly is crystal clear. I don't know why I bought them. Maybe I thought I was going to imitate a shad. Maybe I thought I could put them in dip and dye and make whatever color I wanted out of them. I haven't used them. The bag is still full. Maybe I'll use them someday. I'm going to keep them around. It's not worth getting rid of perfectly good centipedes. Also on that finesse front, I used to throw the hell out of a Zoom finesse worm on a shaky head, or more likely a slider head, on a real small Texas rig, or even split shotting it. Here in Virginia, my number one color was always Junebug. You can see I have bags of 50 or 100 of them. But I found some other colors that I used to throw a lot. I used to really like this mossy pumpkin, particularly on sunny days. I felt like that flake really stood out. As I blogged about before, one of my favorite colors in the Zoom Lizard before they discontinued it was pumpkin with a blue flake. I somehow found some finesse worms in that color. I don't think I ever threw them. I probably should. And this was my money go-to color back in the day for super pressured fish or super clear water. Lemon shad. I like that. I like the color called sand too, that I can't find either on my shelf or on Tackle Warehouse. But that's sort of an oddball color, a confidence color. Probably not any better than any sort of watermelon, but in my mind, it gave me a few extra bites every day. I also found these, which I clearly bought at Fishing Pro Tech. That's what it says on the label. But any of you who are from Virginia or North Carolina know about the power of a merthiolate trickworm. It's deadly on lakes like Bugs Island. I've really done well with it. Any place there's buckbrush, when I've been to Rayburn in the spring, Kentucky Lake probably is a good place for it. Here's a merthiolate fluke. Never threw it, still sitting in the bag. Probably need to get that out. Many of you also probably know that Ed Chambers, the founder of Zoom, made his own highly coveted hard baits. These are 6 of the Zoom WEC E1s. That's like a Balsa B1. Look at those colors. I mean, those are money. I'm almost afraid to fish them, except for the fact that everyone who knows anything about squarebill fishing has told me that they outproduce the competition. I don't even know what they'd go for on eBay, but I'm not about to sell them. Have 6 of them. I'm going to milk them for all they're worth. But one thing I forgot about was I own some other WEC baits. This is the Sweet Pea. It's a little finesse crankbait. Here it is in a natural shad color. It kind of reminds me of the Norman Tiny N or the Norman Crappie crankbait. Something you can throw it on a bait casting rod. You don't need spinning tackle, but times when the bite's a little tough or you need to worm it through cover, that's a key bait. And finally, one that I'd forgotten about, a topwater lure. I throw O'Brien's Bee or the PH Custom Lures, Squeaky P a lot, but I'd forgotten that Zoom made a prop bait, and actually that I owned one here in sort of a sexy shad color. I think they called it the Sand Flea. Not sure if that's going to stay on the shelf or if that's going to get fished. Should probably fish it, probably get out there. I have a few other wet crankbaits that have some serious battle scars on them. I think old Ed, rest his soul, would probably prefer that we fish them. That's just a small collection of my semi-forgotten Zoom baits. I need to get out and fish a little more. When we get some warmer days this winter, I'm going to head to some of our local lakes and I'll report back on how some of these lures do.
All I wanna do is on my zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Just shake your feet. All I wanna do is on my zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Check, baby, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, baby, 1, 2, 3. Check, baby, 1, 2. Check, baby, 1.